My parents took out student loans in my name and warned me not to cause a scene, or I'd be uninvited from Christmas. So I invited them to the police station instead and reported them for fraud. I graduated college 4 years ago and rarely speak to my mother or father, maybe 2 to 3 times a year, and even then, it's only for a few minutes. They refused to let me play sports in high school or have a social life, and they've cut me out of their lives since about 75 other people. Since I live about 800 miles away, I only go back to my hometown once a year, either for Thanksgiving or Christmas. Most years I stay with a friend or at a hotel. Last year I stayed with my parents. No way in hell I am going back for either this year. About 5 months before I graduated college, my parents bought a boat. I know they got a good deal on it and have used it a lot. They took it out of the water for the season in early October. I've never seen it in person. I just see pictures from Facebook. Last week I texted my father, my first contact since March, to let him know I could return for Christmas. About a minute later he called and, over 5 minutes, explained how he and my mother decided to buy a boat since their last child was about through college. The only problem was, they didn't have the $20,000 to buy it. What was their solution? Take out a student loan in my name, of course. My mailing address was always their house through college, so I was none the wiser. Why was my dad telling me about it now, 4 years after the fact? They never paid any of it back because they can't pay it back. They kept putting it in forbearance, but it ran out early this year. Fast forward 7 or 8 missed payments later, and my dad tells me the only reason he's telling me now is because he doesn't want me to bring it up at Christmas, and he knows it will default in a month or two. His exact words were, "If you're going to make a big deal about this, it's best if you don't come home this year." He also said it's about $25,000, which I would need to pay off. I hung up and just sat in shock for a couple of minutes. I called my brother yesterday and told him what was happening, and that I think I will sue them for whatever it takes to pay off the loan. I still don't know the amount yet. I should probably find out by next week. I'm cool with my brother, and he's cool with my parents, and I'm sure he probably talked to them because this morning I got a text from my mom just saying, "Do not sue us." I texted her back, saying she would need to pay off the entire loan immediately and show me proof. She texts back that I need to grow up. I'm not even going to respond to that. The boat is probably worth half of what they paid for it by now, along with the hours they've put on it. I don't know if they have the money or not to pay immediately if I sue them, but I figure I can at least garnish their wages. My other brother called and asked me to hold off a few months before doing anything that it was shady of them to do, but to give them a chance to start paying it off. Update, 1 year later. This update has a happy ending. What happened is that I ended up having to make a police report about what happened. My parents weren't arrested, but they were charged with deceptive practice. As part of a negotiated deal, they agreed to become responsible for the debt and received 12 months of court supervision. The student loan company removed the loans from my name and clarified that they planned to sue my parents and me. My parents for obvious reasons, and myself because I benefited from the crime. My parents and I spoke to a lawyer who agreed they probably could come after me for some of the debt. Our lawyer and their in-house counsel came up with a deal that said if I paid half myself, they'd forever give up their right to sue me or try to collect the other half from me. I wasn't crazy about the deal, but it's cheaper than going to court, where I'd likely be found to be jointly liable with my parents for the full $25,000 in attorney fees. I paid my part of it 3 months ago, and it's like I've never had student loans. Nothing on my record at all regarding it. My parents sold the boat for a loss and are making payments on the remainder of the balance. They've profusely apologized to me, and I think they are remorseful. As a cherry on top, my brother told me they opened a credit card in his name around the same time they took out the student loans. He only found out after going to purchase a house, and the loan officer asked him about it. That was paid off in full before he found out about it. I speak to my parents maybe once a month now, more than in the past, and our relationship is still fairly cool but not nearly as bad as it was. Also, I did not go to Christmas last year, but I think I will be going this year. Edit. Regarding why I may have been found jointly liable. My parents paid 50% of my rent during my senior year of college. I also lived with them for half a year after school. They asked for half and wiped it off of my credit forever. It's more than 50% of the rent, but I was done with it. I have a decently paying job now and want to move on.